Welcome back to my Fabric mod tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to cover how to code dig, as it's called. And this is just how to properly understand Minecraft code so that you can change it and use it to create things for yourself. And so today we're going to cover what mappings are and why we need them, how to use your IntelliJ IDE or whatever IDE you have chosen to search libraries, how to efficiently search for what you need, and how to understand Minecraft code, of course. So first of all, you may notice we are not in IntelliJ, and this isn't a program you need to download. This is just for demonstration purposes. But first I'm going to cover what mappings are. And mappings are a way of naming the code. And the reason this is needed is because when we get the Minecraft code, it is decompiled. It turns the Minecraft jar or main file back into code. And when we don't get any of the names that they use at Mojang for their code. And so to use the code, we don't want to have to program in these decompiled names, and this isn't exactly decompiled names. Decompiled names will usually look more like A, B, C, etc. However, this is a intermediary names, or what will be used by Fabric Loader at runtime. And so this is what it looks like without any mappings. Is just a whole bunch of class underscore number, method underscore number, etc. However, we map this code with the yarn names in Fabric. In Forge you would use MCP, and then there's also the Mojang official mappings that we can use to map this code and make it readable. Now you can see, once I've got all of this mapped, I just switched back onto the yarn mappings. I now have a readable class. This now looks much more sane, and we can read it. We can see this is the method getStart. We can see this is clear, the initialization method, etc. This is a pretty weird class. However, I just picked a random one since I couldn't see what it actually did or what it was named. And so the point of mappings are to be as accurate as possible to help you understand what and where you're looking at. And so this could be any number of other classes if we didn't have mappings for it. So there are several different kinds of mappings, as I mentioned, and the two you can use in Fabric the one you can use in Fabric as of the moment is Yarn. However, the official Mojang mapping support is being worked on. However, they have a little bit of questionable legality, so we're going to stick to Yarn for the purposes of this tutorial. If you really want to use the Mojang official mappings, support will be provided in the future. However, it's not entirely recommended. So now we're just going to go to IntelliJ, and we're going to look at some Minecraft code and start understanding it. Alright, so here we are in IntelliJ. And IntelliJ has some very useful tools to help us find what we're looking for in Minecraft code. I have a specific idea of what I'm looking at today, which is going to be the serverworld.tick method. And however, you might not know what you're looking for. And so the first feature of IntelliJ I'm going to show off that will be very useful for this style of or for when you don't know where you're actually planning to be, is the search everywhere function. Search everywhere function is activated by pressing shift quickly twice. So if I just do that real quick, you can see that it brings up this menu. And to see Minecraft sources, you will have to check this box. and now you can simply search for whatever you are looking for. So for instance, to find the polar bear entity, you would search polar bear or polar. And so you can see here we have all of the polar bear related classes. And it will also include some stuff from other libraries. You can ignore that for the most part unless you need it. However, what we're looking for is anything from net.minecraft, etc. So, in particular, I'm going to go to server world today. And generally, when you enter a class, you will be put right at the top here. I was in a different spot because IntelliJ remembers where you were when you leave a class or when you close it. And it actually remembers quite a lot, which is a nice feature of it. However, now we have to find the tick method. And the easiest way to do this is to simply search tick with match case and match words. I find is the easiest way to do it when you are searching for a method. Otherwise it might match some other things such as should keep ticking, stuff like that. So if we just scroll all the way up here, we can see if we press enter and kind of scroll down, or looks like it's already scrolled past it. We'd have to go all the way around again to get to it. However, this is what we're looking for. So that's an easier way to find methods if you know what you're looking for in a class. However, if you have no clue what you're looking for, it's generally best practice to just poke around a little bit in the area of the code which you think is relevant. And if you don't know, ask. The Fabric Discord is a great place to get some help on finding things, on understanding things, and this is it's just a great place to figure out this kind of stuff. And so, since lots of people there have been searching in the Minecraft code for years even, they'll know stuff like where the ice and snow code is and where the weather is set and stuff like that isn't immediately obvious when you just open up the code and look at it. Now, the first thing we can do with a method is we want to figure out, so when is this called? So we can see that we've got the tick method here. However, we have no clue when this is being called and why. So if we press Ctrl B with our cursor on the method, we can see it takes us to the Minecraft server class where it is called. And if it's the only usage of the method, it will just send you to the usage. If there's multiple usages, it will bring up a list that you can just scroll down and find the one you want. So you can see here it's used in the tick worlds method of the Minecraft server class. And so you could even go up further than that, press Ctrl B on tick worlds, and keep going to find where everything starts being called. So that's just the fastest way to check where something is being called. Next, we can check what something is when it's being declared. So say we have the field world properties, or even easier, the field in block tick. We can just press Ctrl B on it, and it will take us immediately to the field which we want to look at. However, if we want to find the usage of a method, we can again put our cursor on it, press Ctrl B, and it will take us immediately to the declaration of that method. And this will require a little bit of knowledge of Java structure. However, if you've been through some of the basics, it should not be too hard. So if we just go down a little bit, another useful thing to do is to check whether something is extending something else, it's called. So Java has inheritance, which means you can extend another class to have just a template class for everything. So an example of this is mob entity class. So I'm just going to go there real quick. So you can see this, let me find a good example here. The set target method. It might be pretty simple here, just this. However, if we press this button here, that shows us what overrides it. We can see that 3 different mobs actually changed this method to be something else specifically for their mob. So if we go here, we can see that it has this instead of just setting the target like every other mob does. And so you can also click this button to go back up to where it is declared at. Generally, you want the topmost one here. However, it shows you everything that's up the line from it. So we can just go back here and it'll show us that. And so that's just an easy way to find, say, it doesn't declare all the behavior you think when you're looking at a mob. However, if you go up the line and check what it is overriding, it might make more sense. Now, next is some things if it doesn't make sense. If something just absolutely does not make sense, it is usually a great idea to, again, go check with some other Fabric developers, get their opinions on it, and if something doesn't make sense because it's named wrong, because of the mappings we discussed earlier, the advantage of using the yarn mappings is that you can actually contribute a correct name if you can figure out the correct name. If you don't particularly want to contribute to yarn, you can instead go look at another mapping set. However, this isn't recommended because any mappings you look at in another mapping set, you can't contribute mappings for that part of the code to yarn. So that's a great way to just figure out if something doesn't make sense. Go and check with other people. There's some understanding techniques that are really useful to know. And the first one is injecting with mixins. Now, mixins allow us to change the game code. And I'll cover them better in another episode. I'm not going to show you how to do them right here. However, they just allow us to inject different points in the game code. So, say we targeted this method, we could put a log before it and say, oh hey, it's doing this when this happens, and that just allows us to more easily understand what's happening when. So I'll explain that all far better in another episode. However, just know if you already know what those are, that's an option, and remember it when we get to that part of the tutorial. Next, the next option is to just read the code, and then without even mixing in, you can go up here, press the Minecraft client button, and press the run button. That will just run the vanilla game, or more so, it will run the game with your mod, which if it doesn't do anything is completely vanilla. So a great way to do it is to compare the unmodified game to what your expectations are. So let's say I think that block tick scheduler gets ticked before the fluid tick scheduler. And so I can go confirm that in vanilla if I do a little bit of testing. And so just making sure you understand is how it's very helpful to go and check the in-game behavior, since it can be doing some very strange stuff sometimes. So that's about all I have on how to understand Minecraft code. However, there's a ton of other methods. Use what works for you. Understanding Minecraft code is a very important part of modding with Fabric, as to mod with Fabric, you need to know, or more so, you should know how to check out what code's doing what when. And so you may want to just go check things when you're modding so that it's not completely out of the blue when something doesn't work. I think that's about all I have to say on the topic for today. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope it was helpful. I hope that you'll return for another episode as I explain more things. Hopefully next episode we will actually get into the content of a Fabric modding tutorial, as this has all kind of been project management and just kind of prerequisite type stuff. So next episode I hope to get into more content type adding, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was informative, and I'll see you guys next time.